Bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. NSA is almost ready to go live. Just a little bit of getting the URL out to the known universe. We are live. We are live. We are live. And we are live all over the world. Isn't technology wonderful? As we stand on the shoulders of giants. Let's do it. Coming into focus. NSA is live. Do you like my hair? Slightly different today. There we go. Going for the summer look. Or something like that. Right. Welcome. This is Native Speakers Academy Live. Native Speakers Academy is a small private language school that uses holistic principles. We are based in Banska Bystrica in central Slovakia. And we do basically two things. We teach the English language and we offer life coaching skills. Teaching the English language or learning the English language will give you your inner technology, where the life coaching will help you develop your communication and outer technology in the world. So we think we're quite unique. There we go. So I didn't get a live broadcast out yesterday because I was working on an interview with a good friend of mine, the fitness guru, Rudy Martinez, who's based out in California. And I did a short interview with him about basics of fitness. It allowed us to test our technology. Yes, these are all tests to see what is possible with the technology that we have. It's a wonderful world. If you'd like more information about what we do, the Homesite is over here. NSA Center for Educational Theory and Research. It's NSA hyphen, that's Ponochka in Slovakia, NSA-Slovakia.com. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can link to me. I'm Graham William Hendry on Facebook. And Native Speakers Academy also has a Facebook page as well. If you've got any questions about language teaching, coaching, language learning, or if there's anything else you want to discuss about education in general, perhaps you're interested in alternative forms of education, homeschooling, for example, I will be happy to take any questions on any of those issues, as I plan to homeschool my 3 kids. I have 3 kids. William is 6.5. Zora is... Oh my God, they grow so quickly. Is she 3? She ought to be 3. I'm sure she's older than 3, right? And Jasmine, or Jazz, as we call her, who slept on my head last night. Those with kids will understand what I mean. She slept on my head. I woke up this morning. And I thought it was still night because I couldn't see anything because this thing was on my head. Thing being my daughter. There you go. That's what happens. That's life, I suppose. As I said, those with kids will understand. All the rest of you, it's coming down the line at some point in time. Get ready for it. So, what's been happening recently? I did the interview with Rudy, put it out on the net. It's been one of the most successful little projects that the school has done. It seems that people are interested in fitness, they're interested in health, they're interested in having a more positive future, picking up any tips and pieces of advice that they can use. That's great. Now, if you're following this on the internet, if there's something you want me to cover right now, you can leave a comment under the video on the Native Speakers Academy page. Basically, anywhere you find this video, leave a comment under the video. If I'm still live and you leave the comment, I'll deal with the question. If not, I'll pick it up and deal with it in the next session if I can. Now, if you've got something that you want to discuss in more detail, another service that we offer is that if you'd like, we can HD video Skype and record this session for the benefit of everyone. If you are worried about being on video, you don't have to be on video. You can just be on audio and I will be on video. Of course, if you are on video, it's much more interesting for everybody. Think about it in terms of presentation. If you're a teacher, you should be thinking in terms of presentation. You should be thinking in terms of teaching and tutoring. Don't be afraid of the technology. The digital technology in essence is just copying the technology that we have inside anyway. So put that interview out there. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. I think it's entertaining. What else has been going on? Now, because I am an entrepreneur who is a solopreneur, I am always looking for ways to push my business forward. One of these ways is using the latest technology. That's why I'm doing this. Those who know me will know my office and my home they are filled with bits and pieces of computers and cables and things that don't connect to anything. So I'm always looking for ways to improve what I'm doing. One of the ways recently was to pick up wireless headphones, this wireless headset. This is a Logitech wireless, I think it's called the 600 series, and it's the lower end of the range. It costs around €50, €60, and I recommend it. It's extremely comfortable and gets rid of the cable problem where you can't really move or do anything. There's a bit of tech advice. Another bit of tech advice just picked up. Let's see if I can unplug this and show it to you. Picked up recently Jabra wireless headphones to connect with my mobile phone so I don't have a cable dangling around my body when I'm using my phone. Now, they recommend that you can use these for jogging. This is not suitable for me, but I can see how it might be suitable for some people. Just goes on round the back, slides in the ear. As usual with those little rubbery end parts, you don't have such good quality of sound as you do with the softer speakers that sit slightly on the outer side of the ear. Those who like listening to music with a lot of bass will know what I'm talking about, that when you stick the music directly into the ear, it tends to be a little bit tinny in its sound. And trust me, I worked in the music industry for about 8 years, and I'm kind of pedantic about the way things sound. It has to be better than great for me to like it. So the reviews of it said that it had a good bass sound, but as usual, it was a good mid sound, not a good bass sound. But you can solve this problem by adding a graphic equalizer, downloading an application that will be a graphic equalizer into your phone through the iStore or what's the other one, Google Play. And you put the equalizer into your phone, and then you can balance up the sound and add a bit more bass. The trouble with that is that adding bass then reduces the overall sound. And these things they don't tell you. They don't tell you these things in the reviews. You have to experiment with the technology to fully understand. And a lot of the time I find that it ends up being good for something else that it wasn't planned for in the first place, but it's still useful. So in general, very comfortable to wear. Don't even know that I'm wearing them. Forget about it after 20 minutes, which is really super cool. Uh, but you do have to be in the vicinity of your phone. You have to be within 10, 15 meters of your phone, and you have to be within visible range of your phone. There can't be a wall in the way because it starts to cut out, and that's really frustrating if you're listening to a podcast and you want to catch every word that people are saying, especially if you're hooked into something like Free Domain Radio, where you want to catch every word of Stefan Molyneux's analysis because it's just straight to the heart. He splits the arrow every time. Um, so what else can I say? Pretty good for the price. I don't know of anything better that exists. I've seen some other types. Pretty good for a set of wireless headphones. The audio problem solved by downloading an equalizer or a bass booster. Beware which program you download because a lot of them are just advertisements. So you got to either know what you're downloading, have downloaded it before, or just experiment. It'll take you a while, maybe take you half an hour to find out which one is the right one. So now I'm using these, and it's great because I don't have to plug, unplug, plug, unplug, plug, unplug, plug, unplug in the office, going out, in the car, at home. I don't have to plug, unplug, plug, unplug. I can um, just keep moving. And they've got a very, very simple, easy to feel, because you can't see it, easy to feel button, which is the stop button. And a nice volume control, which is really easy to use. And the only downside is that if you press the stop button too many times, like I have a habit of doing, like going stop, you know what I'm talking about, like I have a habit of doing, then it will call the last person who called you, which happened at 11:30 last night when my phone decided to call my landlord for the office space that I rent. Not a good idea. That sent me into a bit of a panic, I can tell you. But they're relatively good. Much, much, much better than the Sony underwater earphones, which are about as useless as jamming a penguin into your ear. They don't even work. They don't even have any volume in them. You can't even you can't even hear anything when you're out of the water. Never mind in the water. It's quite possibly the worst piece of technology ever created in human history. Sony underwater earphones. Don't even go there. Don't even bother. Don't even try. A complete waste of time. Why would you want underwater earphones anyway? Because I always want to kill two birds with one stone. If you can do two things in the space of when you would normally do one thing, and you can do both things well, then that's great. So when I exercise, I was thinking I can go swimming and I can listen to a podcast at the same time, or I can listen to a bit of history, or I can listen to some music if I want, and that'll take my mind off the monotony of the ridiculousness of going splash, 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 splash up and down the swimming pool. Anyway, you can't hear anything. It's pointless, useless technology, which I bought through the internet in a shop called, am I allowed to mention it? It's the truth. Why would I not be allowed to mention the truth? So it was a big electronics shop called Dat Art in Slovakia. And I was very busy doing a lot of work in my office, and I bought these phones, and they were completely useless. They absolutely did not do what they said they did. So that's a reason to return them. Don't want to waste my money. So I gave them to my girlfriend to return them and get my money back, and she took them to the shop, and they said basically, no, you can't. Now, I'm being very polite, because they did basically jam their middle finger in the air and at her. And she had to leave. And they didn't offer anything else. And I was angry. And the reason why I didn't want to go back in the first place is because I find it really, really hard to keep my temper when somebody else is being ridiculously unfair, and obviously ridiculously unfair. I don't know if I can control myself in that kind of situation. Um, and I don't mean screaming and shouting, because if the words are not enough, there's no point increasing the volume. That's increasing the volume using the same words. There's no point with that. Getting some feedback through my headphones. I wonder if the audio is okay. Before I finish the story, I'm going to check online and see if there are any questions that have been posted. Any questions that have been posted? There we go. Looks like nothing at the moment. Hope the audio is okay. Write a comment. Any questions? Any questions? It will be hard to get anything from anyone today, as today is the last day of the school term here in Slovakia. Which means students all dressed up nice, giving flowers to the teachers, thanking them for a wonderful year, teachers sighing in relief that they can finally have 2 months of peace and quiet. Make from that what you will. Anyway, back to the story. I knew that I couldn't go back to the shop. That would just be ridiculous. I would have been angry the first time something went wrong. So this is the second time. And so what I did was I contacted a manager of a big shopping center that has the shop within it, and I asked him for help. I lobbied him to ask him if he could lobby for me on my behalf. Sometimes it's not good to do things directly. Sometimes we need to work on doing things indirectly in order to find a solution to our problems. So people exist to help people. There is no other reason. Sometimes you'll get the feeling that people exist just to make problems, but the truth is that people exist to help people. There is no other reason for being on the planet. There is no other reason for being alive. There is no other reason for being here. If you're not being helpful, you are not fulfilling your role on this planet, basically. So that's my job, to try to be as helpful as possible and to try and help the students. I'm a bit worried that the sound might be feeding back through the second microphone that's attached to my computer at the moment, but I'm going to go with the flow anyway. The trouble with technology is you don't know until you test everything if something has worked or not. It's just constant test. Look at what NASA does. I saw a video the other day of them testing a rocket to send things into space, and it's just fire it up and create the largest barbecue in human history. It's pretty wild stuff. So, what else to talk about? I was in the first session giving advice about targets and goals and goal settings, and I just want to round off something I said about that. In the first session of these what are they? I don't know, little videos of these NSA Live videos. I talked about when you're organized and you're organizing yourself, and when you begin with anything you do, studying, working, whatever, you kind of have to do it from the perspective of order. You've got to order everything. So you need to start with a clean space that you can work within. That's why at the end of the day I try to keep the school space as clean as possible. For every client that comes here, I want them to feel like the space exists just for them, just for them, which it does. And so that makes them feel comfortable, except when it's like it is right now, which is the middle of summer, and I've got 2 fans running and 2 fans under my 2 computers, and I think my computers are sweating. It's that hot. In fact, if this just cuts out, it's because the computer's just had a nervous breakdown in the heat, which happened last week. But I'm hoping it's going to survive after I finish this. I think I'll turn it off and give it a little bit of a rest. So, what was I talking about? The space. Yeah, start with a clean space. Make yourself feel comfortable. Have whatever you need in the environment so you don't need to go outside of it. Gather all the materials you need together. If you need some food or some drink, have it there so you don't have to go somewhere else to get it. Set targets. Set targets by writing things down. Now, the traditional way of doing that is a list from top to bottom, and then perhaps after that ordered with I'll do this first and this second. So you kind of prioritize. You create a list and then you prioritize your list, which is always what I recommend students to do. The second thing I recommend students to do is have a timetable for their study. Have a timetable so that they can see what they studied, when they studied it, and then they can look back and see how much they studied. And this is great for me as a teacher because then I can look at when they studied and where they studied and try to work out if there's a pattern that might be positive or negative in their learning, and then try to improve it, because life is built from your daily habits. If you have the right daily habits, then you can make the right steps to go forward. So start with good daily habits. Start with simple habits. Now, something that I've changed in terms of how I organize things for myself recently is that I'm not doing the list from top to bottom. I start by drawing a circle. Oh, if it's going to be on the screen, I guess it has to go the other way, like that. Okay. Circle, sort of. Right. You get the idea. Circle. So I start with a circle. I call this the idea wheel. I start with the circle, and then around the circle, I write down the activities that I want to do. And then I select whatever seems to be the most important, and then circle it or cross it out after I've done it. It just gives me a different perspective than the list perspective. I'm not sure if it's better. It's just another way of looking at it. You could make a circle. You could make a triangle. You could make a square. You could have like a cross, and then you could divide it into today most important, today least important, tomorrow, and so on. You find whatever works for you. I don't think everybody needs to use the same system, which is why I don't like digital calendars and digital organizers very much, because they all seem to be fixed in the same system for everyone, which is, I tend to feel that it's the technology controlling the people more than the people controlling the technology. Anyway, another thing you can do with the idea wheel is you can look what feeds in to the center of what you're doing, and you can also write something about the completion of the tasks in the center of the wheel, and you can look at what feeds in and feeds out as well. So you can play around with it a little bit. It's just another option. So have the goals written down, and decide what is the priority of these goals. Decide what needs to be done first, what needs to be done second, what needs to be done third. Also, you might want to have not just a daily plan, but a weekly plan. Not just a weekly plan, but a monthly plan. Those who can make longer long-term plans and more accurate long-term plans are going to get closer to their targets and goals. And they're going to know what the target and goal is themselves. Even if the goal changes, you still need that longer term plan, I think. Consider the way that consider the way the whole school system is planned. You go into maybe a nursery school at the age of 3, and you maybe finish your university studies at the age of 24 or 25. And that's a system. That's a whole system which has been planned. That's a 22-year system. The education system is planned and designed over 22 years. And that's an external plan. What about your plans for you? How organized are you? How planned are you? You know that the biggest organizations in the world, probably banks and insurance companies, look at the plans they have with their mortgages and their loans and their shares and transactions and other financial services that they offer. Sometimes you've got from short-term loans, business loans, 1-year loans, 2-year loans, 5-year loans, 10-year loans to loans that go out over the long term from massive international banks like the Bank of International Settlements or the World Bank or maybe the IMF. And you're looking at returns over 50 years, 100 years, 150 years. And some of those returns are impossible to return anyway, because who knows what's going to be happening in 150 years? Who knows how the technology is going to change? Who knows if we're going to be here? And who knows if the currency is going to last that long? What's the average age of a currency? It's like 30 years or something. It's mind-blowing when you put all the information together. Absolutely mind-blowing. So, that's organization. Try to review things at the end of each day. Try to look back at your list, find your list, see what worked, what didn't work. Take a little bit of time to review at the end of the day. I mean, ideally, you should have 5 minutes at the beginning of the day to look at the plan for your day, 5 minutes in the middle of the day to check if everything's going in the right direction, and 5 minutes at the end of the day to see what worked and what didn't work. Okay, 5 minutes is idealistic, so maybe 10. So that's half an hour of your day should be related to planning. And I think that's a fair and average expectation. And you don't have to just totally focus on the planning. You don't have to take it so seriously. You could be having your meal and plan at the same time, or chilling out, listening to some music and planning, or whatever, eating your breakfast and planning. So vary it. Find something that works for you. Keep the lists handy. Like to keep them on pieces of paper. I can slide into my diary. That's kind of it, really. Now, a lot of people are recommending the digital applications for this. I've told you what I think about that. The most common, what's the name of the most common one? What's the one that everybody uses? Evernote? I think there's Evernote. Kind of green or yellow logo or something. It's kind of, is that the one that looks like an elephant or something? I'm not sure. Something like that. So there's also lots of tutorials about how to use those things online. One of the advantages is that when you've got an idea, you can make notes and then photograph your notes and then keep visual records of things that you do. I find that really useful because I'm a visual spatial person, which is why I have my set out kind of like this. Why do you have so many monitors? Because I'm a visual spatial person. If it's all tabbed on top of something else, I can't see what it is. I can't see how it relates to things. And to see things side by side. There's other practical reasons as well for it, but I think that's the way I explain it to myself. That's the best way that I've found of dealing with that. Should you plan in unscheduled things? Wait, if you plan it, is it unscheduled? No, if you plan it, it's not unscheduled, is it? I had that question about these short videos. Should I schedule the same time every day, or should I just go for it wherever, whenever, whatever, because that's the way that life is sometimes? And I've chosen the road of go for it wherever, whenever, whatever, while everyone else is going for the, remember at 2 o'clock tomorrow you can find me, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, I get it. I see the advantages of that. It's very practical. It's very useful. People can prepare for it. But sometimes in life, the best things are the spontaneous things, the things that you don't quite expect. And that's the road I'm going to go down for the moment with this. Sorry if it annoys you or gets on your nerves or you don't like it or whatever. I'm sorry. Let's check up with the online statistics. 25 people have viewed this online. Oh, that's okay. It's the middle of the day, as I said, so I'm not expecting to pick up too many people live. And what I would like is for people to drop questions in that I can answer about education. If not, you're just going to get me talking about whatever it is I want to talk about, which might or might not be relevant or useful to you. I've discussed the technology today. I've discussed what I think might be good and useful technology. I've reviewed uh, the organizational ideas. What else? Well, we have the World Library of the Internet now, so get yourself an internet connection and you've got no excuses not to know something. Hence the term, do I look like Google? I don't think so. So use a variety of search engines, not just Google. I recommend startpage.com, and you might be able to come up with some different links. I think Startpage doesn't record your history, whereas Google records your search history. I like the fact that Google records my search history because what happens sometimes when I work with students is we look at articles on the internet, we go through them together, and then I want to use the articles again, and I go through so many different articles, hundreds of articles a day, that I can't find it very quickly, but I know if I saw or was with a certain student on, say, Monday from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, then if I look through the Google history engine, Monday 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I can find the article that way. So they really have thought of everything, haven't they? What a great time to be alive. Now, as I said, this is live. Drop me a question and I'll deal with something. I'll deal with it if I can, or at very least I'll point you in the right direction. If you're looking for direction, I recommend our YouTube channel, Native Speakers Academy. Over 500 videos on education and education-related topics. You can browse by category, or if you click videos, you can just go through the history of videos until you find a topic or subject that is interesting for you. If you are an advanced learner of English, we have 20 lessons, 20 special lessons recorded just for advanced learners that are on there. We also have a lot of social philosophy and psychology related to the work of Stefan Molyneux from Freedom in Radio. We also have, what else might be interesting there? We have classic speeches as well. That might be of interest to you. I wonder if anybody would be interested in all that stuff in the future, or if everything's just going to go down the live road and everybody's going to be watching everything live in real time everywhere. It'd be interesting to see which way it goes. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think there's some technology that I'm not using that might be useful for me here, and I'll see if I can integrate it into the work that I do. So, thank you very much for paying attention. This has been a short broadcast by NSA Live. We are the small language school that deals with teaching the English language and life coaching. We do one-to-one sessions here in the school, just over there, or we do them through HD Skype. So if you want to connect with me through Skype, I will be happy to give you a free consultation and tell you a little bit more about what we do in English or in Slovak, if you like. I did study French at school, but I think all I can say is j'habite dans une grande maison près de la mer. J'ai un chat. Yada yada yada. How completely useless is that? So much for 3 to 4 years of education, language education. Anyway, we do what we can. You can't rely on school. You can't rely on school for your education. You've got to take control of it yourself. That's one of the keys. You've got to be responsible. You owe you to take responsibility for your own education. That's it. That's it for today. I could just rant and rant and rant and rant and rant. I had a whole list of things I was going to talk about. I didn't get to any of them. But there you go. That's life. To my students who are out there watching this, wherever you are, have a great day. I just have to find a way of shutting down the live broadcast. Connect with us, connect with me through Facebook, YouTube, check out the homepage, do all those things. Right. It's officially the beginning of summer, I think. So wherever you are, enjoy the sun. It's good for you.